Okay, that is the Fast Leonore excerpt by Beethoven. I recommend performing this at about half note equals 120, or even thinking in whole note equals 60. The bigger the meter we can feel it in here, the better, okay? Right on your third measure, you've got a forte piano. Don't over stress about that. We want to feel it more like a stress on the G, and then we're lighter on the B. So I recommend practicing this by starting on that measure. And just play that much and get that really smooth, big, full sound, lots of vibrato. Notice that when I finish that, my accent is on the B. So I've got ya-da-da-dee-yum-bum. And then I'm going to fade away through the rest of it. What I don't want to hear that's not the right motion through that phrase. We should land on the B and come away, okay? So really giving an accent pretty much to every other downbeat through this excerpt. Then I would add in the pickup. Start off practicing it slurred so that you can get a nice big sound and really even fingers. And then add in the articulation. And we want to make sure that we're in tempo from the start, that we're not speeding up as we go. Then you can put those two phrases together, okay? The next bits are the same idea with coming away. We want the emphasis on the downbeat, and then we're coming away from the phrase. So, okay, so every other one. Same thing, since this is higher, think more stretching at the top. I have done so much uneven rhythm practice on that. And for so much of my life to try and get those really even and smooth. The tendency is to rush there. With this next bit, your 3/8 notes are the pickup. You might consider using middle F sharp here if you feel like your F sharps are pretty sharp. And this is where we want the articulation to be really nice and crisp. I like to think tiki, tee, tee, tiki, tee, tiki, tee, tiki, tee. And then when we get to our triplets, you want to make sure that your pulse stays really steady. Again, there's a tendency to rush here at the triplets. Always, always, always practice this with a metronome. I like to take a breath right in between, right before the triplets go back to 8th notes. So I take a breath here. If you can do the whole second half without a breath, that's actually the ideal goal. I feel like I need a breath to stay in tune on the last high D. Okay? If you really need an extra breath, you can also take an extra sip of air right before the very last long note. Do count out that last long note. I count on my fingers while I hold it. So if you were to see me playing this, you'd see. Okay, so I'm kind of keeping track as I go there. To practice that subito dynamic change, practice it at first with a rest in between. So like this. And I'm adding a pause so I can do a subito dynamic change and keep the D in tune. Check that with a tuner, okay? You've gotta hold that pitch on that D steady through the whole thing. If you feel yourself sliding flat, a little trick, your ring finger in your left hand, you can just ever so slightly vent the whole of that ring finger key, and that will keep your pitch up. You have to do it very subtly. Happy practicing.